All right, Mike, let's go into the heavens for a minute, if you don't mind, because
Yes.
we've had some earthquakes. We've had the solar flares. There's been some discoveries up there of moons and things that, and we've got an asteroid coming that they think is going to hit the moon. If it don't hit the moon, it's going to hit us. So there's some developments going on in the heavens. This binary system must be getting closer. There was massive chunk of ice and rock and stuff coming off out there. I believe it was I can't remember now. It wasn't Norway, but I can't remember where it was at. So there's a lot of activity under the water. You've been talking a lot about this. What do you see coming in the next few months? I mean, they talk a lot about these meteorites coming in. What do you sense is going to be taking place?
Few months? Well, I have a caution about the oceans in particular. I know a danger is coming from the oceans. I know that water event will come to. We have too many large bodies of ice. I'm telling you, at any moment, they could just sink into the ocean. And when that happens, the ocean levels are going to abruptly rise, right? They have pulled out research teams and rigs from certain places where they were investigating. The ice, they pulled them out. They can no longer be there. No subs, no anything can go under certain pieces of ice anymore. There's one piece of ice that is probably the size of Rhode Island, and it's being held up by a piece of ice no bigger than a standard mall.
Now, wait a minute.
So think of that.
Wait a minute. You're saying a smaller piece of ice is holding up a massive piece.
Yeah. That smaller piece of ice would look like the mall, right?
Okay.
And the top piece of ice would look like Rhode Island, New York, the whole thing.
Well, what in the world?
And it's melting from the ground.
But it's going to
go.
The ice is melting from the ground.
There you go. It's almost, they know it's going to shear off.
Where's
right?
it at?
They know it's going to hit the bottom. It's in the both. Well, you have 7. Take your choice. We have some to the north and some to the south.
Atlantic Ocean? I mean, are we talking the Atlantic, the Arctic or Antarctic?
No, if that's in the Arctic, and if it happens, it will affect the entire Earth. That's too much water displacement.
Yeah,
that's too much. So you're looking at a type of tsunami all over the Earth that it could be 20, 30, 40, 50 feet high, but it's going to happen everywhere.
Okay,
right?
now
think of a tsunami, a quiet tsunami that happens like that everywhere, right? So no noise, no earthquake, no volcanoes. It's just that the water rises. People wake up and all of a sudden they look outside their front door and the ground is reflecting the sky because water is everywhere. Now, Mike, so we'll see something like that.
But now in Blatten, Switzerland, they had huge piece of ice come off, take some rock with it and land. And it destroyed an entire village. They evacuated that village 2 weeks before it happened, but they knew it was going to happen. That was just from a glacier. Okay. So there's other glaciers that are, as you said, barely hanging on. And there's no doubt the ocean floor is heating up. The ocean is warming up in its degrees. That's causing the polars to swim. It's not tailpipes and mankind. It's
our sun.
Yeah, our sun. So do you see, is this going to take, in the next decade, if time lasts, let's say, in the next decade, what happens with the sun? What are we going to get visited by this bowler,
already, this month, it's only been 12 days this month, the resonance of the entire solar system and all of NASA's probes and all of them are in sync, right? The resonance of all of them has changed, right?
What's that mean?
Something is vibrating the entire system right now, and it's causing actual feedback on the instrument. So it's going to start messing with the Schumann resonance of the Earth, of course, but it's going to mess with the vibration of all the planets all at one time. We're under an influence from an external object, period. For example, I'll give you a hint. June 27th, right?
Okay.
On somewhere around the 27th, we're going to have a solar event. Now, of course,
okay.
nobody's dumb enough to say that, but I got a pretty good track record when it comes to solar events. We're going to have a solar event because these solar events are tied to something external, which is on its way here, right? Which is going to double. It's going to double the activity that we're having. Right now, we're in the season where people are really going to start to feel the effects of these environmental changes we've been having, right? So you're looking at, in the oceans, you're looking at very different activity because the salinity of that water is going to change. The chemicals in the water are changing. The air, right?
Okay.
Everybody's going to feel different. The pressure is going to change even more than what it has. Nobody's going to be able to live in coastal places due to humidity. We're going to have a humidity issue. Right after the water takes its toll and the winds will continue to build, that's going to become quite dangerous.
And hail? Will we get hail?
That's right. We'll have large gorilla hail.
Gorilla hail?
Yeah. That's the big boys. In fact, a few days ago, right? You don't see it anywhere, but there was hail that was falling. That was what they say that the size of 2 softballs.
Whoa! I saw.
So you have.
Whoa! Really?
Yeah, the size of 2 softballs, right? So that's unbelievable. What is that? And then you have it's starting to spread. It's starting to spread out. Now, somehow it's happening because we have in the upper atmosphere, the winds were just incredible. So you had enough updraft to start the process. But as you go up, the wind speeds increase. So you have enough wind to sustain some pretty heavy hail. It's not going to take long now before everybody has it. So places like Colorado, the hailstorms they have. Imagine if they had all their hail was softball size and larger.
No.
That's what you're looking at. The average thunderstorm will carry hail that size. This is what we're working up to. That's the beginning of it, right? And so it'll grow from there. There was another place that had 9 inches of hail.
That's crazy.
How in the world and no reports.
No, I never heard about it. I didn't hear about it.
No reports.
Why aren't they reporting it, Mike? Why?
If you look at the weather, right, they're going by script in the weather. There are some things they cannot say. They cannot say it. So nobody should look for, if you don't know anything about meteorology, find somebody good on YouTube who would say it, right? And watch them carefully because they're not naming some of this new phenomena that's starting to happen. And it's starting to happen worldwide. Right. For example, it's going to start raining rocks in certain areas. That's an actual process.
Okay.
That's just not understood. Well, I've talked about that one Thursday because it's already starting to happen.
What about?
It's happened in a few places, and nobody understands why.
Raining rocks from the heavens, from the sky, from space.
Rocks.
Where's it coming from?
Yeah, no, rocks are actually coming from within the earth. Right.
Okay.
But there's a process in the earth that causes these rocks to be ejected right almost at the tip or at the place in the atmosphere where it takes them a long time to come back down again, or some time to come back down again. And then because they start out small, then they coalesce as they start coming back down again. So we have that phenomenon happening, right?
Is that caused
spread
by this atmospheric compression? No,
that's caused by magma. It's caused by
magma.
And when you have this gas exchange within the planet, right, due to the magma, you have superheated water, which is essentially steam. And when it starts changing chambers, when a chamber opens up, steam rushes in there. Normally it pulverizes rock and everything else, and there are tubes that go straight up, and they'll shoot them straight up in the air. I mean, way up there, just kind of like an eruption without the magma. Is what it's like. So
I got you.
You're looking at that. You're looking at that kind of thing.
Is there any volcanoes right now that you're real concerned about? Right on you're really, really worried about?
In the Pacific.
Okay.
Yes. And that crack in the Atlantic is a problem.
Yeah, you've been talking about
Right. I know nobody worries about this because nobody's heard about this, but Tamu Massif it keeps me awake.
What? Where?
Tamu Massif.
Where's that at?
That's in the Pacific.
Okay.
Tamu Massif. I know they say it's dormant and all that good stuff, but it's not a good thing. You know, in the solar system, that's one of the largest volcanoes in the solar system, and they will not permit that to be said.
I know. No, they won't. What about the seamount over there in Cascadia? I mean, off the coast of Oregon.
Of course, that's troublesome, right?
Yeah.
But I tell you, so long as the coast plate is in place,
yeah,
we're going to have enough pressure to take a lot.
And now the coast plate seems like
if
that's
that moves,
down
if
in
that shifts, that's right. That's right above. If you look at South America, it's right there, South America, Mexico. America. But if it shifts, we lost stability. There's no stability, right? So all the fault lines north of it are going to start shifting.
Wow, that's putting a lot of pressure on the coast plate. A ton of pressure on that one plate. Then
it's like a cork.
It's off the coast like of maybe in South America, Central America. It's right down there in that little.
Right there in the bend, I guess.
Yeah, in the bend.
Right there in the bend, right above Peru. You start going upward, and you'll see it, coast plate. But they found this out by looking at this. They did it was a certain type scan they did. And they started looking inside the earth at how it was shaped. And it had some anomalies shape-wise that cause it to withstand a lot more pressure than normal. So you have all these plates putting pressure on this small plate. If it goes, it's connected to about, 4 major plates. And San Diego is going to have a big problem if that goes.
Wow.
So anything that happens in Mexico, volcanism in Mexico is a clear indication of a problem with the coast plate, which means, that California is going to be next.
You're very concerned about really the San Diego area. Is that your number one spot in California?
Yeah, because that's the spot that it's not going to survive. It's just not going to survive.
I mean, there's a lot of people that live in San Diego, Mike.
Well, you look at that landmass, right? And if the one fault shifts a little bit, everything is going to start shifting, and that subduction zone will not sustain itself. It's going to snap, and when it does, you're going to have a landmass shot straight up in the air. It's going to lose buoyancy and everything else, and from that point, that's going to be a big problem. But at that time, that will affect quite a few places.
Okay, Mike,
but California is going to get it.
Mike, thank you so much for being here tonight. It was a great show. It was great information. We needed it, and I really appreciate it. I really do. So's the audience.
Pascal, it's always an honor. Always an honor. God bless and keep you, brother.
Believe me, the honor's mine. God bless you.
All right. Bye-bye. God bless.